On December 14, 2012, the United States experienced one of the most devastating school tragedies in its history. The Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in Newtown, Connecticut, left 26 people dead, including 20 young children. This incident shocked the nation and reignited debates about gun control, mental health, and school safety. The sheer brutality of this event, combined with the heartbreaking reality that most of the victims were young children, made it one of the most emotionally devastating incidents in modern history. The aftermath extended far beyond Newtown, deeply affecting communities, lawmakers, and activists across the country. Families were left grieving, a town was shattered, and a nation was forced to confront its policies on firearms, school security, and mental health intervention. The long-term impact of this tragedy is still felt today, with ongoing discussions about how to prevent such horrific events from occurring again. The psychological toll on survivors, first responders, and the general public has been immense, shaping national discourse on violence and security for years to come. In the years following, the tragedy has continued to influence public policy, activism, and efforts to improve safety measures in schools across the country. The perpetrator of the attack was 20-year-old Adam Lanza. Prior to the attack on the school, he lived with his mother, Nancy Lanza, in their home in Newtown. Reports suggest that Adam had struggled with social and emotional difficulties from a young age. He was described as highly intelligent but socially withdrawn, and he reportedly dealt with sensory and anxiety disorders. His relationship with his mother was complex. She was known to be protective and involved in his education, but also reportedly owned and trained with firearms. Nancy Lanza, a divorcee, had taken a significant role in Adam's life, homeschooling him for some periods and ensuring he had access to treatment. Despite her involvement, those who knew the family noted that Adam had grown increasingly isolated in the years leading up to the attack. He reportedly spent most of his time in his room, avoiding interaction even with his mother. There were also reports that he had become obsessed with previous mass tragedies, researching them in great detail. He spent hours reading about violent incidents, often fixating on the mechanics of past attacks and the details surrounding the perpetrators. His extensive internet activity included discussions on online forums where he exchanged thoughts about mass violence, and he meticulously analyzed past attacks, including school shootings and other mass casualty events. His descent into isolation and fixation on violence created a dangerous situation that tragically culminated in the events of December 14th. Some accounts indicate that Adam was fixated on violence and had an extensive digital trail indicating an interest in mass killings. Investigators later found online conversations where he discussed school attacks and his personal frustrations. Despite these warning signs, no formal intervention took place that might have prevented the events of December 14th, likely due to a combination of lack of awareness, legal constraints, and the absence of immediate threats recognized by those around him. His increasing reclusiveness and deteriorating mental state went largely unnoticed outside his immediate home, leaving those around him unaware of the extent of his potential for violence. In retrospect, many experts believe that a combination of social isolation, untreated mental health conditions, and easy access to firearms created a highly dangerous situation. Efforts to analyze his psychological state posthumously revealed significant issues that, if addressed earlier, might have changed the course of events. On the morning of December 14, 2012, Adam Lanza took the life of his mother at their home using a firearm she had legally purchased. He shot her multiple times while she was sleeping, then took additional weapons and drove to Sandy Hook Elementary School. Arriving at approximately 9:30 a.m., he forced his way into the building by shooting through a glass panel near the front entrance. Once inside, he carried out his attack in 2 first-grade classrooms. Security measures at the school were not enough to prevent the attack. Sandy Hook had recently implemented a policy requiring visitors to be buzzed in, but Lanza bypassed this by shooting through the glass doors. Witnesses later described hearing loud bangs followed by screams as the situation unfolded. Some staff members tried to intervene, while others rushed to hide students in closets and cabinets. One teacher managed to save multiple children by locking them in a restroom, keeping them silent until law enforcement arrived. Once inside, he moved swiftly and systematically, targeting students and teachers. Many attempted to hide in closets, bathrooms, and under desks, but the small, confined spaces left them vulnerable. The sheer speed and brutality of the attack meant that victims had little time to react. Some students who survived later recounted the terrifying moments when they heard gunfire nearby. Teachers did their best to shield their students and protect them from harm, with some using their own bodies as barriers. The attack lasted for just minutes, but its effects would endure indefinitely. It left deep emotional scars on survivors, prompted significant policy debates, and reshaped national conversations on school safety and mental health. The immediate police response was swift, but by the time officers entered the building, the perpetrator had already taken his own life. Law enforcement officials later described the scene as one of unimaginable horror. Authorities launched an extensive investigation into the attack. It was discovered that Adam had access to multiple firearms legally owned by his mother. Reports later revealed that he had planned the attack meticulously, researching past tragedies and compiling notes about previous school incidents. Despite these findings, a definitive motive was never established, largely due to the lack of direct evidence, conflicting reports on Lanza's mental state, and the absence of any clear declaration from him explaining his actions. Further analysis of Adam Lanza's digital footprint revealed a disturbing obsession with mass violence. Investigators discovered that he had studied past school shootings extensively and had even created spreadsheets documenting details of previous attacks. Some experts, including those from the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit, suggested that he may have been attempting to outdo previous perpetrators in terms of scale and impact based on his extensive research into past mass shootings and the detailed records he kept of previous attacks. The FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit found that he had an extreme interest in violence, but lacked the ability to express his emotions effectively, leading to an internal buildup of rage that eventually culminated in the attack. The Sandy Hook tragedy led to widespread calls for changes in gun laws. President Barack Obama, in an emotional address, called for stronger measures to prevent such incidents. He advocated for universal background checks, a ban on high-capacity magazines, and enhanced mental health resources to identify and assist individuals at risk before tragedies occur. Efforts to introduce universal background checks and restrictions on high-capacity magazines gained traction but ultimately faced significant opposition. Additionally, the tragedy intensified discussions about mental health care, and the U.S. advocates pushed for better access to mental health services and early intervention programs. Schools nationwide implemented stricter security protocols, including locked entrances, active shooter drills, and enhanced coordination with law enforcement. Many states passed additional laws related to firearm storage and school safety funding. The town of Newtown, along with the families of the victims, worked to honor those lost. The Sandy Hook Promise organization was established to advocate for safer schools and responsible gun ownership. Memorials and vigils were held across the country, ensuring that the victims' memories were preserved. The Sandy Hook Elementary School was eventually demolished, and a new school was built in its place with enhanced security measures, including reinforced entry points, bullet-resistant windows, an advanced surveillance system, and a redesigned layout to improve emergency response capabilities. The tragedy remains a somber reminder of the importance of addressing issues related to school safety, mental health, and responsible firearm regulation. In the years following the attack, survivors and families of the victims became advocates for change, working to prevent future incidents. Their efforts have led to increased awareness and funding for school safety programs. The events of December 14, 2012, left an indelible mark on American history. The lives lost that day will never be forgotten, and the impact of the tragedy continues to shape discussions on public safety and policy. The efforts of victims' families and activists ensure that this tragedy remains a catalyst for ongoing reform.
If you enjoyed this video and want to dive deeper into more cases like this one, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to like the video if you found the story compelling, and share it with your friends and family who might be interested in true crime and mysteries. By subscribing, you'll stay up to date with all our latest content and join a growing community of curious minds exploring the most fascinating cases. Click the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything.